Very nice.
I'm gonna I promise you never. Let's keep on.
Acting is lying. That's the whole job. You stand in front of a camera or an audience, and you pretend to be someone you're not. You pretend to be angry when you're not angry. You pretend to cry when you're not sad. You pretend to be terrified when the monster chasing you is a tennis ball on a stick held by a guy named Dave. And the only rule, the absolute only rule, is that you never, ever let the mask slip. But sometimes, at the worst possible moment, during a funeral scene, a life or death confrontation, a live Broadway performance in front of 1,000 people, the mask doesn't just slip, it falls completely off, and when it does, there's no cutting away, no second chances. Just a professional actor standing there, desperately trying not to laugh and failing spectacularly. These are those moments. The lineup flatulence, The Usual Suspects, 1995. Let's start with one of the most famous character breaks in the history of cinema. And yes, it was caused by exactly what you think it was caused by. The Usual Suspects, the police lineup scene. This was supposed to be the moment that established 5 career criminals as dangerous, intimidating, and deadly serious.
All right, you all know the drill. When your number is called, step forward and repeat the phrase you've been given. Understand?
The script called for a tense, gritty sequence. The director wanted menace. What he got was Benicio Del Toro passing gas through roughly 12 consecutive takes. Gabriel Byrne can be seen covering his nose and looking away from the camera. Kevin Pollak and Stephen Baldwin are openly cracking up. Director Bryan Singer was screaming over the intercom, begging the actors to stop laughing and give him one single usable take. They couldn't do it. After an entire day of blown lines, Singer gave up. He stitched together the outtakes and bloopers into a final cut. And here's the insane part. It worked. That accidental, unscripted camaraderie between the actors actually made the scene better. It humanized the criminals. It gave them chemistry. One of the most iconic scenes in 90s cinema exists entirely because a man could not stop breaking wind during a serious take. The corporate facade crumbles. The Office, 2009. Idris Elba is one of the most intense dramatic actors working today. The Wire, Luther. The man does not break. His entire screen presence is built on being an immovable, unshakable wall of seriousness. In season 5 of The Office, Elba joined the cast as Charles Minor, a terrifying corporate enforcer sent to rein in the chaos. His entire character was built on being completely immune to the absurdity around him. During a scene where the accounting department tries to make a good impression, Brian Baumgartner delivers this bizarre, agonizingly slow, deeply awkward hello as Kevin, and Elba's face just cracks. You can see his mouth twitching upward.
Hi, everyone.
Hi.
Hi. Look, it's no secret.
Hi.
Hello?
He's fighting it with everything he has, and then he drops his head and laughs. The editors cut away as fast as they could, but the remnants of the break are right there in the final broadcast. The most serious actor on the set, broken by the dumbest possible line. Bagpipes in Central Perk, Friends, 2001. Jennifer Aniston was no stranger to keeping a straight face. 10 seasons of Friends, thousands of takes. She'd seen it all, but she had never seen Ross Geller play the bagpipes. In this season 7 episode, David Schwimmer's character decides to learn the bagpipes for Monica and Chandler's wedding. The cast has to sit in stunned, horrified silence while he produces the most agonizing, off-key screeching imaginable. They were doing fine. And then Lisa Kudrow decided to sing along. Without warning, she launched into this piercing, warbling, high-pitched yell that was supposed to match the bagpipe noise. The combination of Schwimmer's intense, deadpan commitment and Kudrow's unhinged vocal improvisation was simply too much for Aniston. She buried her face behind her hands, and you can see her shoulders heaving and shaking with laughter. She's completely gone. The illusion is destroyed. The editors kept it in the final cut, because sometimes a real laugh is better than a scripted reaction. The Cheese Plate Intervention, Breaking Bad, 2008. Breaking Bad is one of the grimmest, most emotionally devastating shows ever made. Terminal cancer, the drug trade, family destruction. Nobody is laughing. Nobody should be laughing. In season 1, Walter White's family stages an intervention. There's a talking pillow. His wife is crying. His sister-in-law is making tearful confessions. The entire scene is designed to be excruciatingly tense. And in the deep background of the wide shot, actor R.J. Mita, who plays Walter Jr., is smiling. Not a little smile, a big, broad, fighting-back laughter smile. Because Dean Norris, who plays Hank, had just casually leaned forward and grabbed a piece of cheese off the coffee table in the middle of the most devastating conversation of the family's life. That's it. That's what broke him. A man eating cheese during a cancer intervention. And if you go back and watch the scene knowing it's there, you will never unsee it. Right there in the background of one of the most serious moments in prestige television history, Walter Jr. trying desperately not to laugh about a cheese plate. The parking garage stall. Seinfeld, 1991. Here's a case where it wasn't a co-star who caused the break. It was a car. In the classic Seinfeld episode The Parking Garage, the characters spend the entire half hour lost in a massive concrete structure. By the end, they finally find Kramer's car, pile in, and the script calls for them to start the engine and drive away. Simple ending, except the prop car genuinely would not start. Michael Richards turned the key and nothing happened. Jason Alexander and Julia Louis-Dreyfus broke immediately. They knew the take was ruined, but they couldn't stop laughing. Both violently turned their heads toward the back windows, physically hiding their faces from the camera while their shoulders shook. The real mechanical failure was so perfectly aligned with the episode's theme of inescapable suffering that the editors kept it. One of the most famous endings in sitcom history happened because a prop car genuinely refused to do its job. But why male models? Zoolander, 2001. Sometimes the funniest moment in a movie exists because an actor's brain simply stopped working. In Zoolander, David Duchovny delivers a full 60-second monologue explaining exactly why the fashion industry uses male models as untraceable assassins. It answers every possible question about the plot. When it was Ben Stiller's turn to deliver his next line, his mind went completely blank. Total mental shutdown. The only thing that came out of his mouth was the exact same question he'd just asked before the monologue. But why male models?
But why male models?
Duchovny, realizing Stiller had just asked him the same question he'd spent a full minute answering, channeled his real frustration into an ad-lib. Are you serious? I just told you that a moment ago.
You serious? I just told you that a moment ago.
Right.
It's one of the most quoted lines in comedy history, and it only exists because Ben Stiller forgot his actual line. The ear punch. Fight Club, 1999. David Fincher is one of the most meticulous directors in Hollywood. Every frame is calculated. When he wanted a genuine reaction from Brad Pitt in Fight Club, he went to extreme measures. The script called for Edward Norton to throw a weak, fake punch to the shoulder, but Fincher secretly pulled Norton aside and gave him one instruction. Actually, punch Brad Pitt in the ear. Norton hauled off and hit him for real, and Pitt completely broke character. The ultra-cool Tyler Durden persona vanished instantly, replaced by a very real, very surprised Brad Pitt yelling in genuine pain about being hit in the ear.
Fucker! You hit me in the ear!
Well, Jesus, I'm sorry.
Ow! Christ!
He's laughing. He's swearing. He's holding the side of his head. The character is completely gone. Fincher kept it in the movie because nothing looks more real than something that actually happened. The Siamese Elephant, The Carol Burnett Show, 1977. If you've never seen this clip, stop everything you're doing because this might be the single greatest character break in the history of live television. The Carol Burnett Show, a live-to-tape sketch called The Family. A parody of bleak, miserable Southern Gothic plays. The tone is supposed to be pure dysfunction, and then Tim Conway decided to go off script. He had deliberately kept this bit hidden during dress rehearsals, specifically saving it as an ambush for the live taping. In the middle of the scene, Conway launches into this rambling, completely improvised story about a circus act featuring Siamese elephants.
I saw these Siamese elephants.
Nobody on stage knows where he's going with it. Nobody can stop him. Harvey Korman broke first, completely, irreversibly broke. He collapsed into helpless, visible laughter on live television while the sketch was supposed to be at its most dramatic. Carol Burnett was fighting for her life trying to deliver her next cue. The crew was howling off camera. The physical studio cameras were shaking because the operators couldn't hold them steady. And then Vicki Lawrence, without missing a beat, looked directly at Conway and deadpanned one of the most legendary ad-libs in television history. Tim Conway just sat there, grinning, knowing he'd committed the perfect crime. The Barracks Diatribe, Full Metal Jacket, 1987. Stanley Kubrick was a perfectionist. The man would do 50 takes of someone walking through a door. So when the actors in Full Metal Jacket kept breaking character during the boot camp scenes, you can imagine how well that went over. The problem was R. Lee Ermey. Ermey was a real former Marine drill instructor, and Kubrick gave him permission to improvise his dialogue, which meant the young actors had absolutely no idea what was about to come out of his mouth. Every take was different, every insult was new, and some of them were so creatively, viciously, absurdly profane.
Bullshit, it looks to me like the best part of you ran down the crack of your mama's ass and ended up as a brown stain on the mattress.
That the actors simply could not handle it. Nervous laughter kept ruining take after take as Ermey unleashed rapid-fire insults that nobody in the room had ever heard before. The fact that the on-screen abuse was so intense that it was actively causing the actors to break behind the scenes perfectly captures that razor-thin line between genuine intimidation and absurd comedy. Hugh Jackman stops a Broadway show, The Music Man, 2022. And finally, the moment that might be the most spectacular character break on this entire list. Not because of what caused it, but because of who did it and where it happened.
Kathy, when she turned up for work at 12 o'clock, could have played any of 8 roles. 8 roles. It happened to be the leading lady. She found out.
Hugh Jackman, Broadway, The Music Man revival. A multi-million-dollar production. A packed house of people who paid premium ticket prices. During a scene with co-star Sutton Foster, something happened on stage. Nobody knows exactly what triggered it. But whatever it was, it hit Jackman so hard that he didn't just break character. He stopped the show. He physically turned his back to the entire audience. He bent over at the waist, and he laughed so uncontrollably that he could not stand upright. Sutton Foster immediately caught the infection. She covered her face with her hands and fell apart right alongside him. 2 Broadway veterans, one of the biggest stars in the world, standing on a premium stage in front of a live audience, physically unable to continue performing because they could not stop laughing. The audience didn't boo. They laughed along because they were watching something you absolutely cannot fake. 2 human beings completely losing the battle against their own sense of humor in real time with nowhere to hide.